it comes to straight boxing, Kevin Lee couldn't hold Rodriguez's ball bag in this scenario. You know what I mean? So I'm Rodriguez. Is this a tequila bet?
Yeah, this could be the tequila bet.
All right. Welcome back to the, again, Aquagon list. Aquagon. And I know what you're asking yourself. Can we see out of these? And the answer is absolutely fucking not. But what I will tell you is this. Me and Dave, and just allow us a few seconds here to file our grievances on the last card. It wasn't our best picks. But again, we did tell you it was akin to dog shit, so who really gives a shit about that? And I'm going to digress on that. Normally, this is the part where I would, give you a little opening monologue, but I actually am going to kick it over to my partner here who has something he'd like to say in MMA news that he's noticed and see what we got. And then we'll get into a couple of good picks on what we think is a pretty good UFC fight night coming up. Yeah.
Well, with the Bellator's been trying to keep up with the UFC, it seems like lately, putting a lot of cards out. And man, I've been watching these guys and they just cannot put up the production value or even to come close to what a UFC production value is. And it's really starting to get on my nerves listening to these guys break down the fights. Now, I understand that Big John McCarthy, he put his time in as a ref. He was the OG best ref in the game.
Oh, but he's just a straight pantheon of knowledge of UFC fighting.
Yeah, I mean, he'll tell you that he sat in when all these rules were made, but he'll also tell you he sat in while all these dumb rules were made. On top of that, act like his shit don't stink. I don't know whoever gave that guy a microphone. I can't imagine him being even to the last one event in the UFC. The way that he breaks down fights, the way that he sees them as he's sitting there, it was lucky that he was never a judge. I don't know, man. Have you noticed anything with these guys on these other divisions or what?
I thought it was interesting that that he translated over to Showtime when they switched from Paramount Network. Because I think he got to that position. And Paramount's just looking for names, you know what I mean? I mean, it's been a digressing since they formerly known as Spike TV and just went downhill once they lost the UFC. And Big John is a name. He was one of the most infamous refs you can think of.
Iconic.
Out there, iconic, yeah. And but when Showtime took over for Bellator, I was shocked that they and it looks like they're trying to implant. They got the boxing guys in there now.
Yeah, they got Morrow with him and everything. Got rid of Goldie.
Yeah, they got rid of Goldie, which, I had called that years ago, that Goldie was just too cartoonish for the direction that MMA is going. But, I agree with you. It's very bad. If Bellator wants to compete, they need to, create your own names, which is something they've struggled with, trying to do things internally. I did think, one of the things I think we agree on, though, is, the PFL, I think, does put on a pretty good show.
I like PFL's production value. They got those interesting things. I think what are some of the smart cage things like that, where they're showing you the speed of the punches. They're breaking down how the fight would be scored based on their algorithms, things like that.
A couple things I think that the UFC should probably take. I mean, it's kind of like the XFL. You don't compete. The UFC is like the NFL in this scenario, and these other fighting companies are like the XFL, in my opinion, except they'll last a little bit longer because it doesn't cost as much. You don't have the big payrolls on those lower ends. So I think they can obviously stay around more. But the XFL did teach the NFL some things. You got the Sky Cam, just little different ambiances that happen that I think we both agree, like, maybe the UFC could take a page out of the PFL's book. The playoff system, I don't know if there's a place for it in the UFC or not, but I could bite on it. I could get behind it if they wanted to do that. They've got a ranking system.
Yeah, and the UFC can also see what kind of things they want to make sure they don't try out, like that ref cam. Even when they're breaking down those scores round by round, and then the judges see it a different way, that kind of frustrates me as a bettor. If I think my guy's winning all 3 rounds, next thing you know, the other guy's winning in a split decision. I'm a little bit more angry than I would have been if I would have thought he was losing the whole time.
And judging will forever be the saga of betting, watching the fight sport. This goes back to the beginning of time. We only have to go back just last weekend. I thought there was a couple of interesting calls. Nothing to really make note of. There's definitely been worse ones this year, but it is what it is. It's just the backbone of the UFC. But Moving on to the UFC Fight Night, which I think the main event, Barboza versus Chikadze, very good main event.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of volume there, and I like how we're sprinkling in the Ultimate Fighter here.
Yeah, they kind of snuck those in.
I was kind of shocked. Excuse me, I don't know what the partition went down the wrong tube there. I'm kind of surprised that they aren't fighting with their coaches when they're fighting.
Yeah, isn't that how they always used to do it?
Yeah, that was interesting to me, but, you know, it does make a good free fight night card. You know, coming off, I think we're jonesing for a good one. So,
yeah.
And I think there's some good bets here, some good fights to happen, some good matchmaking. And I am going to speak to my partner's arousal here because my first lock of the night is a female fight. But I do want to get your take on this.
Yeah, you know, I always feel like you can find a lot of value in these female fights. I don't know if I don't know if Vegas just doesn't see him as clearly as everybody else seems to be able to see him or what. But, I mean, you only got JJ at what, minus 350 right now?
I believe, yes, minus 350, maybe minus 370.
And she's a killer with a ton of experience, fighting someone last minute, I think making their UFC debut.
Vanessa Demopoulos, again, we can't say her name right, so that speaks again to, you know, where she's at. UFC didn't even put a picture of her on their homepage, which is also a ever interesting saga that continues. The thing with women fighting, to your point, is there's not as much of a threat, and this is just genetics. Listen, it's not sexism; it's just genetics, and it's statistically true. The knockout power just isn't there as much as it is with the male fighters. Mm-hmm. So someone like Gigi, you have to ask yourself, JJ Aldrich, I'm good like Gigi, I'm getting mixed up now, is you have to ask yourself, how does she lose? Yeah. You know, where does this fight go? Are you hoping for a knockout? And I don't, you know, the line you say 350, you know, negative 350, we're not making waves here. I think it's a fucking great line. I really do. It's a parlay piece. It's not a, you know, what was the one we saw on the Bellator, like negative 3,300 or whatever?
Oh, like the PFL, our girl?
No, it was
the
wrestler guy.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he was negative 3,300. Like, it's not out there.
Won a split decision too.
Yeah, a split decision. Probably not the best use of your money, but in any case, I think the line is good. I wouldn't say better individually, but I think she's an extreme. I think she needs to be in every. She'll be in every one of my parlays this week and DraftKings, 100%.
Oh, yeah. She's a killer, man.
Yeah.
JJ is going to be looking good this weekend.
You know, and the one thing, too, her last fight, she who did she lose to her last fight? I can't remember the name. I had it right here pre-show, but I don't know. Maybe we'll have to edit that part out because I can't remember. Yeah, but she was in there. She had the girl she fought actually just fought.
She lost 2 fights ago. She won her last one.
Yeah.
Mozo. M-A-Z-O? Sabina?
Disregard. I can't remember what it was.
She lost to Macy Barber.
Macy Barber. That's what I'm talking. That's the one I was talking about. But she got, if you remember in the first, Macy Barber, if you remember in the first round, she actually put Macy Barber on her ass with a jab.
Yeah, she looked like she was going to be taking the crown that night. But...
You know what I mean? It ultimately didn't go her way, but Macy Barber, I mean, when you talk about the level of competition, you know, that you look at both fighters, and I think it's a short notice fight too.
Yeah, she's taking a short notice.
Give me the negative 350 and, you know, give me JJ Aldrich all day. We're going to move on up the card. We're going to try to be a little bit better with our transitions. This one, I believe we're on the opposite end on. We got Dustin Jacoby and Darren Stewart. I'm going to let you go first.
You know, okay, so the reason why I'm picking Darren Stewart on this one, a little bit of MMA math. You know, I think with these recent losses that he's had, he's getting a bad rap. I mean, you lose to Eric Enders. He fought him twice. Got the disqualification, then the loss. And then before that, you got Kevin Holland. I mean, those are 3 fights in a row that you're just fighting, you know, top-level competition. And I think before that, man, he was always looking good. You know, it was a split decision with Holland. I really liked the way he looked. I just like him as a dog at plus 160. That's kind of where I'm coming from with this pick.
I have a couple of issues here. So is Darren Stewart? Are they fighting up a weight? Is he fighting up a weight class right now? So
yeah,
one thing I found out, you know, recently, some research about him, and he's got the big chassis. He's the big buff guy, the guys that tend to wear out as the fight progresses. He's a buff guy, but he's small for the weight class. In fact, he's going against a 6'3" guy. He's going to be, he's only given up about 2 inches on the reach, but that is a big difference. 45 inches on the leg reach to 41.5. And why I bring up the legs is what I like about Jacoby is he's a kickboxer by trade. He went out of the UFC, did some kickboxing, came back. And since he's come back, I think that he's really worked on the grappling, which is going to be the path to victory, I do believe, for Darren Stewart. Mm-hmm. But what I can see is just that meta of the UFC. Jacoby likes to just drill that lead leg, take it out of your game plan, and I can see him just going to town on Darren Stewart. And then once he takes that lead leg out, Darren Stewart might go in there and take a round, might take him down, control the first round. But after that big chassis is going to wear on him. I think Jacoby's going to go after the lead leg. I think it's Jacoby. I don't know why I'm calling him Jacoby, but in any case, it's going to attack that lead leg. It's going to take it completely out of commission, and then the third round is just going to be an absolute peace session. And you probably get a technical knockout on this one. Ref stoppage, one of the two. Or well, that would be one and the same, but maybe a straight knockout. I don't know, but I just don't see Darren Stewart getting victorious on this one.
Okay, so. And you're saying inside 3. Okay. I'm going to stick with my boy here, but we'll see what happens.
Little United Kingdoms, United
Darren
States.
Stewart,
okay,
yeah.
That's very unpatriotic of you, but we do appreciate you. And we're going to go ahead and move on.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to bet this gentleman for quite some time now. And rather, I shouldn't say bet him, fade him. And it's Sam Alvey. And the thing with Sam Alvey is everybody knows what Sam Alvey likes to do. I do think that he is 100% on borrowed time right now, being in the UFC. He has not looked good in his last couple of fights. And by not look good, I mean just simply awful, a punching bag.
Yeah.
Though his game plan is always to counterpunch. He wants to catch you in a counterpunch. But the problem is he doesn't have a lot of power. If you're betting with him, you're going to have literally negative output throughout the fight. He'll move around in there, but he's not going to swing. He's not going to put the combos on you. He likes to get his ass on the cage and defend a takedown and sit there and hold on to you. But you're not scoring any points from that position. He really just likes to counterpunch.
Yeah, and it's not very precise with it either.
Now, no, he's not. But he's landed it in his career. But again, he's getting a little bit older. I think that does play a role in it. And Wellington Turman, you're not going to hear me say that this is some world beater by any stretch of the imagination. But he's fighting fucking Sam Alvey.
10 years younger.
10 years younger. Where can you go wrong? I do like the line too. Normally in a Sam Alvey fight, you're not going to see a line as close to a pick 'em as a negative 130. And you're not even getting a lot of value. I think actually last I checked, Sam Alvey was only plus 115. There's just no value on Sam Alvey. If you were going to bet Sam Alvey, you're going to hope that he lands that counterpunch, get you a knockout. You're in and out with some good, 2 plus 2, 300 money. At plus 115, what's the point of betting Sam Alvey? And some people have picked him. When I like to listen to other shows and hear the lead up to this and kind of see where they go. I was actually really shocked to hear that, but people love this guy.
He's got that nice smile on his face. He's good on the mic. Well, not that good on the mic, but good enough on the mic to be likable.
Well, two things that don't go together: a good smile and fighting. Mayweather aside, I just don't think there's much of a place for it. So,
well, his record kind of reflects that. So
are we going to do a tequila bet on this one then?
No, I don't have Alvey on this one. No way.
Oh, okay.
Maybe next time.
I tried to trick him in there. All right, as we transition to the next fight, what do you have to offer here? What's a good one that you're feeling a little strong about?
Well, you got a couple big
strong
favorites.
Strong as my margarita.
Coming up. Muradov versus Meerschaert. I think, man, I just don't like Meerschaert one bit. I think Muradov is a good parlay piece. Maybe put it in there with JJ.
What does Gerald do besides just be good at being less than mediocre?
He's like another one of those guys. I know we always talk about somebody who gets their soul stolen. And in his last fight, what's that Russian dude with the man, why am I blanking on his name? I just had it on the tip of my tongue.
He is coming off of a win in his last fight, but at the end of the day, the output just isn't there. He's 32-14. At this point, what is he offering to the UFC? He probably would have been on my list. Like, this guy is making cards, but some of the people we've cut. And is it over money? I'm not going to go back down that rabbit hole again, but it just, to me, I'm with you. He's kind of like when you make these bets, sometimes you make a bet and it's not so much about the fighter you're betting with. It's the fighter that they're fighting against in most cases.
Exactly.
The line is interesting though, for me on this one. It's as bad as he is. I just don't know. I guess I just don't know enough about the other guy to kind of want to put money on it. But I don't know if you have a hot take there, or if you're just kind of going with what I was saying.
Yeah, it's kind of just I saw how much I did not like his performances lately, and was just kind of going to fade him.
Yeah, and it's important to say, like, with him, he's even in his wins, I'm not impressed.
Right.
And when you factor that in, it's like, well, now I think he's going up in competition. What do you think is going to be the result? I think it's just going to implode on him. And kind of when we're on that same vein of, I'm going to give another no bet here, but I think it's worth talking about because he was on the Ultimate. It's an Ultimate Fighter Showdown. Which it is interesting because back in the day, there was only one Ultimate Fighter that would get crowned, and now it just seems like if you're on the show, you're going to get some clout.
Right. Yeah. If you get a name for yourself, and Dana White likes you a little bit.
Yeah. But before I will say this though, to in defense of the Ultimate Fighter, I do think huge names come from the Ultimate. It's a very good breeding ground for the UFC.
Oh yeah.
So I can see both angles of it. But in any case, Andre Petroski versus Micheal Gilmore. I think, Andre, what we know about him, an extremely good wrestler. He fought really well against Battle, and I believe he just got caught right at the end. Mm-hmm. But, if you take all that out of the equation, I don't think that I know enough about him from his television debut of better known as the Tough House to want to lay 475 in the wrong direction, being negative money to bet with him. I just don't see the value in that. There's just not enough information on him. And sometimes, these younger wrestlers, you're getting on the spotlight, you're going to be on TV. Are you going to gas yourself just trying to get that first round takedown right away? I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't really see much out of Micheal Gilmore either.
No.
When he came in real quick and just got pieced up. I mean, was that just a bad matchup? Was it same thing with him? He had a little
could be unlucky.
He's coming off a 3-day notice, taking a fight like that.
It all circles back to the line. If you wanted to bet him, you put him in a parlay. You do not put him on a DraftKings because he's not a volume fighter. He's a control fighter. At most, if the way that he wins this fight, or probably will win this fight, he's just going to do a wrestling clinic, take him down, do a couple of ground and pounds, maybe hit him with a big shot or two up top, but there's not going to be enough volume to justify the price you're going to have to pay to have him on a DraftKings roster. So for me, this one's going to be a no bet, but it is worth noting simply because, it's the Ultimate Fighter. Keeping along the same line, and me and Dave, we love this guy. This is my lock of the night. I'm going to bet very heavy. I'm going to put 5 units, probably maybe north of 5 units on this one. If I can find a good free bet site, there's a couple. I'm one of those guys. I shop these new betting apps that come out when they offer you the free risk-free bets.
Oh yeah.
I take a fight like this one we're about to offer you, and I pound it. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but I feel really good about this one. Ricky Turcios and Brady Hiestand.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Brady, he beat my boy Vince, but there was a knee injury there.
He blew his knee out quick. Yeah, that was rough.
I think he has had the easiest path to get here. So, of course, we're going to start with Brady. He started out, he fought his boy. Guy's like 36 years old. I had no fucking clue why where was he fighting out of, Alaska or some shit? Like,
I think weren't they both out of like someplace in Washington?
So yeah, well, Spokane. That's where it was.
Yeah.
Spokane. Somewhere where, you know what I mean? It's just not the level of competition that it's not Miami, okay? Or California. It's not Stockton, any of these places. The point I'm trying to make is he's fighting a 36-year-old guy who was familiar with his talents. Probably over the hill. It was actually a really good fight to watch.
Yeah, he impressed me. I didn't think he was that good. He got that win.
He impressed me for what it was. For a 36-year-old out of Spokane. Okay,
yeah.
You know what I mean. At the end of the day, you can put shit in a wine glass, but put shit in a champagne glass is still shit. And I think so. He got out of there barely alive. You could even make the case that he maybe even lost that. I don't think he did, but you could see an angle there, especially the way that some of the judging goes these days.
Yep.
Fights Vince. Vince blows his knee out. He stayed in there like a dog, but without a knee, you're pretty much SOL.
Right. Yeah, he was fighting off his back, trying as hard as
now he's fighting against Ricky. Now Ricky is an absolute animal. Now you might question what the hell he's got going on in the 5 inches between his ears, but sometimes I fucking love that for fighting.
Yeah, man. I mean, he went through the meat grinder of that Tough House.
He fought the best competition.
Yeah, and he didn't make it look easy, but he did win in all those outright.
Went 3 rounds twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to me, it speaks a lot. Now, the thing that he's going to have to work on is I don't think that he has very good power. You know, I don't want to see him. He's not going to be able to prolong. I think he has a pretty good UFC career ahead of him if he can figure out how to hone the accuracy of his shots right on the button and score some knockouts. Because here's his game. This guy doesn't fucking stop from start to finish. No matter where it is. You take him down, he's trying to get right. He's popping right back up. He's right to a knee. He doesn't sit there. He won't. He's punching from, you get him on the cage, he's still swinging. He is just a volume fighter. And if you don't knock this guy out, you will get outpointed 100%. You saw it in all of his, and again, he went through the meat grinder.
Yep.
He was fighting the top guys in the Tough House, which is why they were great fights, but he outpointed every one of them because if you don't kill this guy, he's going to land more shots. He's going to put on more clout to the judges. And I think now he's fighting probably, of all the people in the Tough House, he's fighting the lowest competition he would have fought. And now we're getting him at an extremely good, favorable -160 line, in my opinion.
Yeah, he migrated over to Team Alpha Male, so you know he had a great camp coming into this.
Great gas tank.
Those guys have been on fire lately.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it every week, how good the Alpha Male guys have been performing.
Even
lately.
our boy looked good. He looked good against that wrestler guy.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, in any case, as far as Ricky is concerned, I just think I'm going to probably, I don't know, are you planning on hammering this bet?
Oh, yeah, that's an easy bet. That's biggest bet of the weekend on him.
I about shit my pants when I saw it was -160.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think you'd get a JJ line or something, you know, -130 or 350, excuse me, -350, something like that. But
watch, he goes out and gets like guillotined or Kimura right in the first 3 minutes. But you know, now that I'm saying this on tape, by the way,
it's fun to lose.
Exactly. But no, real talk. The way I see this playing out is I'm going to watch this and I'm going to know that I'm on the right side from start to finish.
Yeah.
You're just going to see him put on a clinic. And, you know, I think that the one thing that, sorry, I lost my place here, that Brady possesses is I think he does have a pretty good grappling game. But, man, Ricky was just so good on getting himself off the ground, wanting to stay at the center of the ring and just banging out with you. Like, he can control that fight. You get him down, he's popping right back up. I mean, the problem fighters have is sometimes there's fighters that when you take them down, you know, regardless of their skill, they just want to stay there because they're tired or they don't feel like getting up or they're waiting for that last minute of the round and then they're going to do their stand up. Not Ricky, man. This guy, you take him down, he's going to a knee, trying to pop up, getting you to the cage, swinging all the way through while he does it, scoring points along the way. And judges are not as favorable these days to these people that just go and take you down and want to lay on you. You know what I mean? If you don't put any volume down, they're more likely to make you pay for it nowadays. Right. So Ricky all the way, 5 units for me, if not more. I mean, shit. Hopefully, we'll see what the line does.
Yeah,
but,
you know, if you're confident on him like that too, I mean, he's going to be adding a good multiplier to some of your parlays too.
Yeah.
So I mean, -1.
Great parlay card, by the way, in my opinion. Great parlay card. And this next one I have. Do you want to discuss the Bryan battle?
You know what?
Are you placing a bet on that one?
He's getting a replacement fighter too. I mean, I'm gonna take Bryan battle. I just think that he had a good run at the Tough House. I think he's supposed to be there.
I think he went through. He had an easy first fight because they called in the guy last minute that clearly did not ever grapple in his life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, keep going though, battle.
I mean, yeah, just a quick hit on him. I think he deserves to be in the finale. The other guy's taking it on a short notice or a replacement fighter. So I got a battle. You
got to think too when you in something like this, like when the short notice fight at this level of competition. I mean, I think it's interesting because you got to think when they take a short notice fight, the thing that's always difficult to rationalize in your head is, are they solely focused on cutting weight? No skill, not honing in, not studying their opponent. It's just, I got to make fucking weight for this fight. Yeah. And that's what makes it interesting. And battle, the guy is a Swiss Army knife in there.
Yeah.
You know, I think he was highly regarded. I think he was drafted pretty high by Volkanovski, if I'm not mistaken, if not his first pick. He looked good on the feet, looked really light on his feet, but again, he was good in the submission game, good in the grappling, good on the ground. So, you know, you got a well-rounded guy. Again, I think that, you know, the Tough House, like I just said, it's been a very good breeding ground for some of the premier fighters in the UFC. And, you know, I think we got two good ones that are going to come out. When I think at the end of the day, I think Ricky and Battle are going to be the ones that, you know, get the big contract, and probably rightfully so.
Yeah, I can see those two easily.
I have, and I was telling Dave pre-show that I'm going to stop saying this because I've been prefacing every time I say, I don't want to be that guy that tells you live bets because that's for suckers. But fuck that. I've been hitting on them. And now I've completely flipped. So now I'm just going to say I'm going to tell you this because that's the way you need to do it. We're going to discuss Kevin Lee and Daniel Rodriguez. This is a very, very interesting fight. Good matchmaking. Kevin Lee, you know, obviously a crafty vet of the sport. You know, he's had some good wins and he's had some bad losses, to say the least. I think the knock on Kevin Lee, I'm going to get to the live bet part, trust me, is the gas tank. I think he can go out there, he takes people down, he puts a lot of volume out in that first round, and I think it just gets him to trouble in the latter rounds. And once the takedown is less effective, you know, the thing about Rodriguez is this guy is an absolute boxing machine. He's looking to knock your head off. And he's very good, very accurate with his punching. And, you know, I didn't think, you know, what worries me is the takedown defense. I think, you know, Mike Perry isn't, you know, he was able to go in there and slam him a couple of times. You know, that worries you. But it does wear the other fighter out, which is where I'm going to come to the live bet. What I plan to do with this one is I plan to let the first round play out. Now, it's a Rodriguez bet all the way for me. But I'm going to wait for Kevin Lee and I see how he weathers the Kevin Lee storm. That hedges whether Kevin Lee gets a first round knockout, like a finish of some sort, or damages him so much so where I'm like, yeah, no fucking way. Or comes out ahead on the round, which is what I'm anticipating, but he gasses himself. And maybe it wasn't, you know, maybe it's a 10-9, comes out, you get an even better line, and that's where the wrestling will be less effective. He might airmail a couple of those, you know, spinning back kicks or whatever it is that he likes to do. And then from there, it's just going to be a boxing clinic by Rodriguez, and he's going to pound Kevin Lee's face off, in my opinion. I think this won't go to a decision, which is exactly why I feel very comfortable betting it in the second round when I'm down a round.
I got you. Well, this is one of the ones I flipped on. Now, I was kind of under the same guys as you. And then I started thinking about Kevin Lee. He's going up a weight class to 170. That may help his gas tank a little bit. I mean, he was a collegiate wrestler over at Grand Valley, and maybe a little bit less of a weight cut. I mean, that's 15 pounds that he can put back on that chassis without having to worry about affecting his gas tank. So I like it.
I don't know if it's good for your gas tank or bad for it, because I see the angle you mentioned, but I also think when you have to cut weight, and there's a fine line with this, because we mentioned on the last show, what's his name? The guy that fight Moreno, just lost to Moreno, cuts massive amounts of weight.
Brandon Ravel?
No. Moreno. He fought Moreno.
Figueiredo.
Like, Figueiredo is at a point where he's losing too much weight, and you can notice it in his game. Like, he needs to rethink how he's doing that. He shouldn't fight at that weight class anymore. But if it's your, like, kind of natural way where you got to work a little bit to get there and you got to do that cardio, I think you're good. When you go up a weight class, especially when you're getting towards the latter half of your career, I get concerned that you're moving up because you don't want to do cardio.
Right.
And if you don't do cardio, you know, and some guys later in their career, they figure out how to fight and manage their time better or manage their cardio better in the octagon. Kevin Lee hasn't done that. It's been the same forte for him. It's been his backbone, in my opinion. But I'm interested to see, because there is some truth to what you're saying.
That 155 to 170, it's such a big jump. So you're seeing a lot of people like Chiesa. He looked real good when he first went up. I think Kevin Lee's going to look good. His last loss was to Barboza, or not Barboza. His last loss was to Oliveira. Mm-hmm. So you got the champion there. So, I mean, is that really that bad a loss? He beat
No,
up
it's
on
not a
Gregor
lot bad loss at
Gillespie.
all. Oliveira's.
So, I mean, he's still 28. I know his coach died, so he was bouncing around from some camps. So I don't know. Maybe he settled in. I know his brother just lost in the PFL or Bellator, one of those, just the last week or so. So I don't know. I think he's got something that he's going to try to go out there and prove at 170. The line, I think he opened up around minus 170. I think the lines got down to like minus 145. Your boy Rodriguez, he is coming in as a last-minute replacement. So I got Kevin Lee on this one. You know, I didn't think I would pick him this week, but after watching a little bit of tape on him, thinking about him going up a weight class, got the last-minute replacement on the fighter. I think Vegas has got it right with Kevin Lee.
But Kevin Lee's he's there's also interesting to note too, like he struggled with his cardio against smaller bodied guys. Now, even if he can land the takedowns, which I do believe that he will, at least in the first round, you're moving around a much bigger body. And I think that's going to only almost counter his cardio even harder. And the problem also is you're fighting a bigger guy that's going to pack a bigger punch when you aren't able to get him to the ground. I don't think this is a situation where Kevin Lee is going to want to even think about doing, a firefight with him. When it comes to, if it comes to straight boxing, Kevin Lee couldn't hold Rodriguez's ball bag in this scenario.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? So I'm Rodriguez. Is this a tequila bet?
Yeah, this could be the tequila bet.
And Sam Alvey.
We'll leave Sam Alvey out of this. But yeah, we could do the tequila bet. I think Kevin Lee's going to turn some heads with this fight. I think he's going to show himself as a real contender in the 170 division. I think this might be his turning point fight.
Where the fuck did you get these sunglasses?
They're called censorship only.
I mean, Jesus Christ. You talk about you could look at the fucking sun in these. If that's what I mean, is that what people are getting these for? To like literally like straight stargaze at the sun?
Yeah, they're for welding.
Whew. On that note, we are to the main event. We have Edson Barboza and Giga Chikadze. Give us the line first before we get into this.
I got Tapology's got this line at near even, minus 105 for Barboza, minus 115 for Giga.
So let's just call it a squared up.
Flip.
You're not making money either way. You're paying the juice both sides on this one. Barboza, I won money. You won money too last time. We bet on him, I believe. And he wasn't the favorite, was he not? I think he was.
No, he was an underdog.
He was an underdog.
Going in against Burgos.
So we cashed in big there. I personally, I'm gonna go Giga. I think this is an up and comer, and I am nervous though. I do say this reluctantly because there are levels to this game. And if there was ever a time to make a comment that there's levels to this game, it's when you're fighting Edson Barboza. The man is a killer, an absolute striking machine. Kick your leg off, punch your face off, hit you in a guillotine when you shoot in. I mean, he's a Swiss Army knife out there. But I just love the Giga I love the output. I love the gas tank. I think he's riding really high right now, and it really kind of reminds me of I don't want to like make a straight comparison here, a little bit lower level, but I kind of am seeing a little bit of the Gon, right? And then when Gon has fought, you look at his last two opponents, you could have made the same. Well, there's levels. He's only got 8 fights, and he might be in over his head against Volkanovski. Lewis, hell, I was fucking pumping that horn that Lewis was gonna knock his face off, and he proved us wrong. And I just see the same thing happening with Giga. That's my opinion, and that's gonna be my bet on this one.
See, that's what you really surprised me with this pick. I mean, Barboza's kicking people's calves like it's his job. He's like everything you want in Eldo right now, and you're getting away from him. That's what's just really blowing my mind. Barboza went down 145. He's been looking good. Was it 3 fights now? He's been down there. I think he's really found his spot right there. I mean, he could kick that leg over and over and over again. And you're fighting a guy that, maybe a little bit too tall for the weight class. You talk about a cut hurting somebody's cardio. I think he's even mentioned it in interviews. He might find a better spot at 155 where he could have a little bit of play with his weight. But I mean, your biggest kick you hit on Cub Swanson, and now you're coming out and trying to fight someone like Barboza. I just don't see it.
The one thing that's interesting about Barboza, and I will give you an interesting stat. 42% of the strikes that Barboza throws are a significant strike. Think about that for a second. Almost half the time he throws something, it's to fucking knock your head, leg, whatever he's going for off. Right off the fucking chassis.
That's an interesting stat.
But the thing that really why Gigi, if you watch his movement in the octagon, he's not an easy target to hit. He'll come in, he'll tag you. He's got that in and out movement, which again is a similar meta. Now there's another meta that you have with Barboza. It's an interesting fight. Listen, I do say this reluctantly. I could see this going either way. This is not someone that I feel very strongly about, and I probably won't be putting this in any of my, heavy money parlays by any stretch of the imagination. But I just think I'm gonna take the high horse right now. That I think is he's the younger of the two, the better prospect. He's only got 2 losses, which I think is that speaks to a lot when you're at this level, because you've been seeing people that are 3-3 or 0-2. And listen, not all 0-2 fighters are created equal in this world, but they shouldn't be on the fucking UFC fight roster, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But in any case, I think GG all the way. I think it's going to be a good fight. I can see it going the distance, which is another thing. And I just see, Barboza will land his shots, but I just think throughout the distance, you're just going to see too much volume out of GG, too much in and out, where it's just going to be one of those things like Cannon here. You're just going to get your hand raised at the end.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm going with Barboza. I got strength of competition. I got experience. Somebody that can kick those legs and stay strong at that 145-pound weight class. That's where I'm going to go with Barboza. Yeah,
and the strength of competition thing again. Lessons learned for me, because I said that against Gon versus Lewis. I did the layers of the game, and it burned me. So I'm going the opposite direction here, and fuck me if I lose twice. But listen, if you're a millionaire at this game, we wouldn't be sitting. We'd be in the hot tub right now. We'd have those optics fixed. In any case, though, we should be back in the hot tub within 2 weeks, so bear with us here. We might keep these sunglasses, although I can't see shit in them, which might be part of the aesthetics that we're just going to continue to keep. We'll be back next week. We appreciate all of you. Stay tuned.